Often when things go wrong in our lives, they are self-inflicted, either directly or indirectly, by decisions that we make. And the best way to respond to situations that occur is to address them. Don't put them off, don't let them go. You know, I know as men in our society that if we have an injury or an illness, we kind of just let it go and ignore it. But that's not going to make it go away, and most of the time the situation is going to get worse. It's imperative that you address the situations that transpire and have to be real and honest with yourself as far as the reasons why, okay? Because really, from my perspective, you know, we should be spending our lives, you know, in a state of constant self-correction, challenging ourselves, making ourselves better and better. And so when situations, negative situations arise, oftentimes as a result of our own action or inaction, rather than respond, you know, in an emergency mindset like, what am I going to do? Just calmly determine within yourself, what am I going to do? And begin to address those issues. Whether they be physical issues and ailments, relational issues, work issues, you know, whatever this financial issues, whatever in life. Just the path that it took to get there, you know, there's as well a path to get out. You've seen those guys in the war movies when they're, you know, on a patrol and they find themselves stuck in the middle of a landmine field, you know. And so what do? They try to slowly, carefully, cautiously retrace their steps backwards out of that minefield, and that's often what we have to do in life. And so the physical part is pretty easy. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to do. The difficulty is having the discipline to make it happen, okay? Finance is the same. We can get stuck in our ways, in our lifestyles, and really feel like there's no way to get out, but there is. You know, whether it's unhealthy foods that we're ingesting. I know nowadays you go to the grocery store, it gets kind of expensive. And I was sharing with someone recently, you know, start buying healthier foods, and the response was, well, food is just too expensive. Healthy foods are expensive. Well, not really. I think the key is to stop buying the unhealthy foods. You know, don't determine you're going to buy healthy foods and you're still buying the chips, you know, trying to cut off the unhealthy foods and substitute them for the healthy foods. And pretty much that is the template for life. You know, rid yourself of what is not healthy and replace what is not healthy with what is healthy. Exercise, workout, relationships, your attitude, you know. And I guess what we're going to talk about today is the attitude. It's very important. Because it's easy for me to look in the mirror and say, God, my arms aren't big enough, so I'm going to start working out. Or, gosh, I know my cardio at my age isn't great, so I'm going to start doing some cardio exercises. It's easy to recognize how I'm not eating right and I need to stop the fast food and start eating. It's easy for these exterior realities that we can see the results of, you know, the stuff that we're not doing quite right. Even if it's my paycheck, you know, and I need to work more hours or whatever the situation is, okay? Or the relationships, you know. But what's difficult to see is our attitude. Our attitude may be the very thing that's sabotaging our lives, okay? Our negative attitude, just the negativity, okay? Life is meant to be positive. Your body is meant to be positive. You feed good foods, healthy foods into it, your body is going to respond positively. You exercise properly with the right amount of cardio and everything else, and your body is going to respond positively. So when you do positive things to your body, the output is going to be positive. Let's see, this whole thing about our attitude, I want to call it spiritual, not in a religious way, but in a sort of invisible way, okay? So I call it spiritual. Is that your attitude is kind of the same way. The attitude, although our attitudes are being projected out among people, right? It's really an internal issue, okay? Sort of like the internal issue, the consumption, the things that we're eating or the things that we're not doing, the destructive things we're doing to our body. So are our attitudes, our negativities, okay? And so recognize that the result of our negativities will manifest negativities in our lives, okay? And once you realize this concept, it's really simple to see. You know, oh, there it is. It's easy. It's reality. It's because people respond to your attitude. Even the people that are participating in your attitude with you are still recognizing you as the source of that attitude, okay? And you're not going to be drawing good people into your circle. The good people are going to be turned off by that attitude. I mean, I had a real good friend I used to work with, and she was like really cool and a little bit older than me, really funny and everything, but the one issue she had was she was always negative about everybody. I'd be talking to her for a time, and before you know it, I'd get sucked into that, and I'd be there with her talking about folks. Finally, I had to separate myself from her. I couldn't be around her anymore because I didn't want to be like that. I recognized that negativity. So you're going to find people that are going to be staying away from you, that are good people simply because they don't want to get sucked into you. They might like you, but they don't want to get sucked into that negativity, so they're going to stay away from you, okay? And so a lot of times we have unfulfillment. We have unfulfillment in our relationships, unfulfillment in our lives. We have a lot of conflict at work. We have all kinds of issues that are going on in our lives. And what I'm suggesting is often it's emanating from us. You want maybe a litmus test? Go to a restaurant. How often do you challenge the waitress or the chef, or how often is the food not good? Would you do that at your mama's house? I don't think so. No. It's like nothing is going to be perfect. And it's like, that's my attitude when I go to a restaurant, you know, and I order and I get a meal and I don't really like it, I don't send it back. I mean, if I don't like it, you know, maybe that's the way this restaurant makes this food. Okay, then it's me. Or if it's not done exactly right, I mean, who is perfect? So no matter what the situation is, I'm going to have a good attitude toward the waiter, toward the staff, toward that restaurant, okay? Unless they intentionally do something to me, and then I might lose my mind. And then I'll know never to come back there again, okay? But it's very important to maintain your positivity, maintain your positive mindset, because you know, we do reap what we sow. What goes around does come around. There is this thing called karma. And so we have to begin to challenge ourselves. Maybe the challenge is this, maybe go, see if you can go a whole day. I don't want to say a whole week, because a whole day without being negative about anyone, and see how that gets you. And then if you pass the test, the next day, see if you can go all day being positive about everyone, even people that seem like they don't deserve it. I'm telling you that good attitude will begin to manifest in your life. And eventually, if you work on it enough, if you practice it enough, that will become you. We're not stuck in the mindsets that we have and that we've grown up with. You know, you see a lot of older folks sometimes, and I know I'm going to be 67 this year, 2025, so when I talk about older folks, my daughter always looks at me like, older folks, Dad, you're old. But you see people with those like permanent frowns on their face, or that permanent furrow in their brow, you know, that's just being negative all the time. Don't be that. Don't be that person. You have the ability to change that. And I'm telling you this, that slight attitude adjustment can change the whole trajectory of your life. Who knows? That's that potential spouse that you've been longing for. You know, change that attitude. You'd be surprised what might manifest. You know, make sure it's nothing that you're going to regret later. I remember Mr. Spock in Star Trek, he once said, sometimes the wanting is a much better thing than the having, you know, and he was talking about relationships. But anyway, you know, I don't want to leave you with that negativity. Now, you will draw positive if you act positive. You'll draw negative, folks, you know, if you're negative. And I want to leave you with that right there, because that's going to be some homework right there. Day 1, don't talk negative about anybody. Day 2, be positive about everybody and try to keep that up. Life will change. That's just like exercise, man. You start doing push-ups. Start doing push-ups. Start talking positive about people. Eventually there's going to be a result. You're going to change. Your body's going to change. Your mind's going to change. Your whole life situation is going to change, just emanating from within this thing right here called your mind. How's that?